Folks, your old pal Dash V back again. This time we're going to be installing the Goblin Topper on Barrels of Fun Labyrinth Pinball. Check that out. Outstanding mirrored back glass, outstanding world under glass on the playfield, and they did not phone in the topper at all. Folks, this is the best topper I have ever seen. So, installation is fairly standard. You're going to need a screwdriver. Right, I don't know what that was about. Flathead screwdriver. And I like to use zip ties and stuff as well. So, with that said,
did they leave?
Okay, I must be imagining things. I'm going to be following along with the standard Barrels of Fun instructions. So there are the QR codes for tech support and the topper installation instructions if you want to follow those instead. No harm, no foul. I'm going to actually take you right through it. I'll be taking a couple of detours along the way, though I'll mostly be following the standard instructions just to show you where to find different bits and bobs that maybe if you're totally new to pinball, or you know, all of us are new to the build kit of the Barrels of Fun pinball DNA. So I'll be taking some pit stops just here and there pretty quick, but still installation should be about 5 to 10 minutes. I'll take a couple liberties with things like cable management, show you where to do USB updates, things of that nature. But other than that, fairly standard install. Anybody should be able to do it. So, what do you guys think? You ready to go?
Take your time, adventurer. We certainly can't go anywhere.
Okie dokie. Let's get started. First things first, we need to get into the back box. That's where all the brains are that are going to control the topper. So in order to do that, you're going to need to look in the coin box. The keys are attached right next to one of the coin insert slots, usually on a little hook. Now, with keys in hand from the coin box, insert the key, turn clockwise, and slowly lower the grill. Just let it go ahead and rest on the wires. So we're going to grab underneath the lip of the framing of the back glass, lift up, and then pull out the bottom toward you, and then carefully remove the back glass. Be careful because there's artwork printed directly on the back of this. This is solid glass, so when you set it down, be careful about setting it down on hard surfaces. Be careful about laying it down. I like to lay it kind of standing against a wall or something, relatively safe and sturdy. All right, folks, so here we have the brains of Labyrinth Pinball. So there's an Intel small form factor PC to the left, and to the right is just venting. There's also some venting on the top of the bottom. There's 3 venting slots there. We've got power supply to the right, don't touch that. Fuses on the board to the right and to the left. The space in between, you'll notice 4 stands there. This is where there's a board. When we get into the what's in the box for the topper, there's a board there that'll just snap into place. There's going to be an Ethernet data port that will connect from that board to this Ethernet port right here. There's also going to be a power cable that we're going to connect into one of the boards, and then there will be the cabling that comes down from the topper itself that plugs into its respective places. So I'll take you right through that step by step. Before we get to that, just one more thing I want to mention. For USB updates, if you're still running the software that your pin shipped with, depending on when you receive it, you may have different versions of software. So if you want to make sure that you're on the latest, go ahead and check out Barrels of Fun Pinball. I'll put a link down in the doodly-doo to where their website is to catch those updates. But you want a FAT32 formatted USB drive. I recommend a smaller one because there's some cabling in there that can tend to get in the way. Where you're going to want to plug it in is right here. There's 2 of the 2 leftmost open slots on the bottom are for USB, and so that will go in another update in the future. In another video in the future, I'll take you through what a software update from USB looks like. So in the meantime, let's get to installing the topper.
Are they going to play? Keep quiet. Oh, sorry.
Looks like they can't wait either. All right, let's take a look at what's inside the topper box. Now, I have already opened this up and unboxed it. I showed it off last night on stream, so the packaging is going to be a little askew from what you'll get from Barrels of Fun, but this will give you the rough idea. So if we go ahead and open it up, you're going to have a top piece of cardboard and a couple of spacers, styrofoam protecting the main unit, and in the top, we're going to have a couple extra bits and bobs. You're going to have a data cable and a power cable, which we'll use later. And you're going to have the board that I talked about before that plugs in between the other two boards in the space that's reserved for it. Little bit of a preview of what is to come. It's going to look even better once we take it out. The puppets, two of them on the left and the right, do have hairnets. Be prepared to do a little bit of styling in your install. All right, from here on out, we're pretty much going to follow the Barrels of Fun instruction manual to the letter. The only minor detour I might make is to do some cable management of my own using some zip ties, but beyond that, it'll be pretty standard. So first thing is make sure the pinball machine is off. Power supply switch is to the right there underneath the back box. And then also we want to make sure it's unplugged. This is the part where you're going to need your footstool. Carefully climb your stepping stool, and at the top of the back box you will see there are 4 screws there reserved for mounting the topper. Just go ahead and remove those and place them in your pocket for later. Be very careful not to drop them into the back box or onto the glass. You can also remove the top piece at this point in time. I found that I could just kind of reach in there and push it, but you might need to get a flathead screwdriver. There's little clips in there. You might have to convince it to come out. But in my particular situation, I was able to pop it out pretty easily. Next, we're going to take the board for the topper out of the plastic packaging. You want the Ethernet ports on the top and those 4 plastic stands that we showed earlier. You're going to want to line up with the 4 holes on the board. And then I would apply pressure to the top first. Make sure you hear that click. Make sure you hear that click. Now push in the bottom. I just put 2 fingers to either side of it and push until it snaps in place. That's firm in place. Next, open up the cabling. Let's start with the Ethernet cable. If you do not have zip ties and you want to do cable management, you can keep the twisty ties from the cables and use that to do cable management. You just want to be careful that sometimes the twisty ties can have metal inside. You don't want them to touch the boards in any way, or you could cause a short. So I prefer plastic zip ties for that reason. All right, so we're gonna go from this port to this port here. It says EXP bus over here. It says EXP bus over here. So we're gonna go from the right one here to the top one here. There you go. Listen for the snap and you are good to go. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go ahead and while I'm in there, I'm just going to go ahead and zip those together. It doesn't need to be crazy tight. You want to leave a little bit of slack so you don't put stress on the connectors, but the idea is I don't want this getting all over the place and getting tangled up and everything. So I'll just also angle that plastic piece back. All right, now it's time to hook in 12-volt power supply. To do that, we're going to go from the 12-volt in to the one labeled topper on this other board here. So make sure when you snap it, it should only be able to go one way. So you just want to make sure that you're snapping it in the correct direction. There we go. Okay, now again, for cable management, I'm just going to go ahead and get a zip tie. And I'll just push that out of the way. There we go. Okay, now we're going to mount the topper to the back box. You may find this to be easier to do with two people. We're going to take the cables and we're going to tuck them in the hole in the top. I'm going to push them in behind there's like some metal framing that sits there in the middle. I'm going to push all the cables behind that metal framing. Quite a few cables. Okay. Okay. Make sure not to pinch the cables. Now, with the screws that you removed earlier, simply tighten them down. I find it easier to put a couple of them in loose first, like just shy of being tightened down to give you an anchor. And then once you're sure that you've gotten all four lined up without any kind of problems, go ahead and tighten it down. Okay. I did skip the step about styling their hair. There, we'll see how it does. Marvelous. All right, folks, I'm going to show you how to do it with this hardware revision, but just in case this changes in the future, I want to give you a heads up that I'm going right from the directions on Barrels of Fun's website. They have labeled the board and they've labeled the connectors, so it's fairly easy. There are some areas where it's not keyed, so you might get tripped up of like what ordering the wiring is supposed to go in. They pretty much spell it out for you on the instructions. So I'm just going to show you how to do it here with this hardware revision, but you might want to check out their webpage. And again, the QR codes for that are right here. Okay. So first, I'm going to do anything that says that it is a port. So we've got port 1, port 2, port 3, port 4. Looks like all the blue-white cables are the port cables. Port 1, port 2, port 3, port 4. Make sure that they're properly seated on all 4 pins. Okay, cool, excellent. Those are all pretty much good. Now we have 2 servo cables. We have servo 1 and servo 2. Just checking to see if I have any other loose cables. I don't. So servo 1 is going to go here. Servo 2 is going to go here. So we'll start with servo 1. And according to the instructions for this version, you want white cable. It's white, red, black. White cable up, black cable down. So servo 1, white cable up, black cable down. Make sure to get onto all 3 pins. Servo 2, white cable up, black cable down. Make sure to get on all of the pins. And there we are good. So now I'm just going to take all of this cable junk mess. I'm going to take my zip ties, and first I'm just going to kind of bundle them. Okay, but then second, I'm going to actually, I think, cable them to these. I don't want them in the way of the CPU or anything like that, so I'm just going to go ahead and zip them over here out of the way. And then I'll put the plastic bits there out of the way. There we go. Okay, folks, cables are plugged in, mess is managed, expert hairstyling done. We are ready to test this out. Now, the instructions are going to tell you, put the glass back in, bring up the speaker, lock it down, and fire it up. I'm going to lift up the speaker and lock it in place, but I'm going to wait on the back glass because the pinball gods are never always gracious to me. So I just want to make sure when I fire this up for the first time, if there's anything weird that happens inside, I want to be able to see it, and I want to be able to have easy access to go back in and find out what's wrong. So we are going to go ahead and lift up the speaker counterclockwise to lock it in place. And I'm going to go ahead and plug it in and fire it up. Okay, now don't panic if nothing happens. If you have an earlier run and older software, it's possible that the topper will come to life the very first time you boot the machine. If you're running a newer software that was released in February 2024 or later, it comes default with the topper disabled. So we have to go into the menu now of the software to enable the topper and bring it to life. Open your coin door. Notice the 4 buttons. You could go ahead and just do the middle 2, left and right, to lower or increase the volume. Or you can enter the menu by pressing the black button. If you want to exit the menu or go back a level in the menu, you hit the green button. So we're going to go in the menu, and we're going to, this will make you go up and down when you're in the menu. We're going to select settings. Then we're going to go down to topper and make sure that topper enabled is set to on. And it's up to you if you'd like to select play scenes during a track. What this means is that the topper will basically speak and go through various different skits regardless of whether or not there's a player present. So You may or may not want this. I'm going to go ahead and set it to on. Now you can back out of the menu, or you can simply close the coin door, and you're ready to play.
Shoot the ball! Shoot the ball! Shoot the ball!
Are they going to play?
Keep quiet!
Oh, sorry.
All right, now that we've confirmed that everything is working as expected, now I'll put the back glass
Shoot
on.
the ball! Shoot the ball! Shoot the ball!
Patience. Patience.
Take your time, adventurer. We certainly can't go anywhere.
Remember to return the keys into the coin box on that little hook.
Well, this isn't very exciting. Hey, adventurer, play the game.
You know what? I think I will play a game or two. Until next time, folks, I hope you have fun with Labyrinth and your Labyrinth Topper.
I've brought you a gift.
Ooh, the ball came right back.
Who turned that on?